I can't tell you how honoured we are to have the three of you here today. Do you find that difficult to hear it back, or do you find it comforting?
What is difficult? Brings everything. Oh, sorry, I'm not used to this. It's very difficult every time we see any clip of her on telly. We kind of turn over as quick as possible.
Do you?
Well, I do anyway, because it brings everything all back.
Of course it
so
does.
It does.
Of course it does. Let's begin by remembering her and what she was like growing up.
Well, she was a bold teenager, or a bound teenager, as we prefer to say. She was always in trouble at school. When she left school, she came out on her own. So she did. She followed her own path in life. She didn't want to go to third level education. So she followed in the beauty line. She was obsessed with cosmetics, absolutely obsessed. So she started her life working in Cassidy's in O'Connell Street in Ennis. She went from there to Fermoy, back to Brown Thomas, then on the road as a sales rep, which she absolutely loved. So she gave 100% to her work. She absolutely loved working.
She was very independent, wasn't she?
She was. I mean, her brothers would have gone to college, and we probably put a lot of pressure on her to go to college, but college isn't for everyone, and she headed to Fermoy, and we were like, Laura, what are you doing? Nothing against Fermoy, but it's a small town in Cork, smaller than Ennis. Maybe a city would have been better for Laura. She's like, no, Ferg, I got this, trust me. And she progressed along onto Brown Thomas, and then she was an area manager for the south of Ireland for a well-known beauty brand, while her older brothers were either still in college or paying off college debt. So I suppose we learned from Laura that college isn't for everyone, and if you have a passion and desire for something with a bit of hard work, you can achieve a lot. And she had a house, a mortgage, a nice little Audi, and a little dog by 24, and her brothers were still paying off debt.
She had the last laugh.
She did, yeah.
But she knew her own mind. Then in 2016, she was diagnosed with cervical cancer, and it's so young to get such a shocking diagnosis. How did she deal with that?
She dealt with it extremely well. There's a cure for it. We'll get on with it. No tears, no down in the house, just get on with life, enjoy life, and we'll get through this. So she started in December 16, isn't it? She was diagnosed, and then she started her treatment in January. She flew through her treatment, went to work, off in her Audi, as Fergal says, every day after her radiology, and not a bother to her. So she was grand then. She got the all clear in June, and in September she got, as the Dr. Leash says, she knew her own body. She knew there was something up. So the cancer was back, and this time, unfortunately, it wasn't curable. So, she wasn't, we thought, I suppose, we might get longer from her. We always thought. But she knew her own body all the time, and anybody that saw the documentary, she knew when she was going down and how long she had.
But she seemed so strong and so courageous. And I mean, she's been described as a selfless campaigner throughout all of this and dealing with this. I mean, were you shocked when she said, I want to contact the HSE, I want to put my voice to this campaign, and I want to champion it?
She didn't tell us she was contacting the HSE. So she didn't. We heard afterwards, so we did, when she was saying that Ina, her contacting the HSE, was coming down to chat to her, and it went on from there, and by God did she become an advocate. She took on everything 100%, and thankfully and hopefully people will listen to her and act. As Laura, she said, she's the reality of an unvaccinated girl, so she is. So the vaccine is in the school at the moment, so I'm hoping everybody will tick the right box. And look at us here. We have no Laura at home. We don't want to see anybody else in that position.
She wasn't on her own in her efforts. I remember being there the night, and it's not even a year ago, that she was honoured as Clare Person of the Year. And I remember being just completely in awe of you as a family unit. She spoke about you, and we saw some of the clips there on the video. And I've since watched the documentary back. And you guys were a pillar of strength to her. And now you're here today, and you're still spreading her message. I mean, that must have given her such strength.
That was only in December, Avian, and she actually came out of hospital that evening. We collected her at 12 o'clock, brought her down to the shopping centre to get her hair and makeup done.
And she looked $1 million.
She did.
She was like Cinderella. She had to be back at 12
She
o'clock.
had to be back. We kind of broke curfew that we got back near enough. But she looked $1 million, and by God did she pull it off. She was brilliant.
Yeah, she did that on the 2nd of March. She passed over on the 20th. And I got a chance early on just to go back on a few of her interviews. But she did another interview on the 4th of March, a very positive interview for East Coast Radio from the hospital bed. But you'd say to yourself, listen to that interview, there was no stopping Laura. It was basically, she kept going right up to the end. Like the morning she passed away on the 20th, she was with us that weekend, St. Paddy's weekend. She did her makeup, the whole lot again, came down the stairs the day before, walked down the stairs, sat into the car. We brought her into a hospital. It was the one time we felt she was definitely okay. She was coming back out again. But within 24 hours, she was gone. So she was. But she kept going up to the last. She never, thank God, spent time in a hospice. We did a room up when she got bad in the house with the hospital bed, all the gear that goes with it. She was having none of it. She stayed in her own bed up to the day before she moved into hospital with her dog. So it was all positivity with regard to Laura. She said that right up. Any interview she said there was no looking back. She was looking forward to how long she'd have left to live. She knew she was dying. We all knew she was dying. But our house was not a sick house. No. And that's what I'd have to say.
And she shied away from nothing. I've spoken to Sinead Kennedy, who was involved in the making of the documentary, and if you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, do. Is it still on the player? I presume it is.
It's on the player, but it's going on the TV Monday the 16th. So
Monday of September.
This month. So
put it in the diaries. It's an amazing watch. But I remember talking to Sinead about the making of it, and she said nothing was sacred as far as Laura was concerned. She wanted them to film right up to, and after the day she died. She wanted clips of her in the coffin. Yes, and I remember being completely shocked by that, but she wasn't.
I suppose everyone saw Laura when she was in the public light. She looked glamorous. She always had her hair and makeup done, and she didn't have that image of a sick girl. And I suppose she knew the documentary was going to be her final piece of public work, really. And I suppose she wanted to show the realities of an unvaccinated girl, and at her weakest points as well, I suppose. And I suppose one of her final wishes, if not her only dying wish, was that the cameras would be let in to the house to film her at the end, I suppose. Yeah.
Such bravery. It knew no bounds. You're here today to continue that message, and what would you like to say to our audience at BEO?
If any of you have sons or daughters, 13, 14, please get vaccinated. Or if any of you are getting married, please think in 13 or 14 years' time. I'd say Laura's, I suppose nobody would probably know Laura. Nobody would have known Laura only for she got cancer. Nobody would have known us. So please vaccinate.
And I'd appeal to people that the forms are out in the schools at the moment. Parents have to make a decision, an informed decision, that they go online and check out the facts. She was always on about these trolls. We had these trolls as well, and it just appear. But Laura's baton now is handed over to all of us. Laura's passed over. We were only talking over the weekend how after Laura passed, the doctors came in more. The medical profession came out more on radio interviews. But now, this week, it's over to the school secretary, it's over to the school principal, and it's over to the parents. It's in your hands. As Kevin often says, in 12 years' time, how will you face your son or daughter if you refused the vaccine for them now?
I suppose if 300 ladies are diagnosed with cervical cancer every year, 90 unfortunately die, and like we're always looking for a cure for cancer. This cervical cancer can be prevented, and through the HPV vaccine and smears, and we should be celebrating a cancer that can be prevented, and it can be within a generation.
You're here. We're so delighted that you came to join us today. Thank you so much. We have a small little presentation for you, Bernie. I think the feeling in the room is quite palpable. It's hard to follow this, but I really want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for joining us. Bernie, Larry and Fergal, everyone. She'd be very proud of you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bernie. Thank you so much for joining us.